Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Buster Friendly and his friendly friends. Yeah, Buster.
He did it. He did
Uh,
the thing.
Wow.
This week we read "Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep" by Philip K. Dick. Um, I will read a quick little blurb here. It was January 2021, and Rick Deckard had a license to kill. Somewhere among the hordes of humans out there lurked several rogue androids. Deckard's assignment: find them and then retire them. Trouble was, the androids all looked exactly like humans, and they didn't want to be found. So I think, what do we want to do? Start with some ratings.
Yeah, let's do that.
So we're using the Goodreads rating scale, which means 1 star is did not like it, 2 is it was fine, 3 is I liked it, 4 is really liked it, and 5 is it was amazing. So let's start with Arjun. How are you feeling?
I, for one, busted. I want to give it. I'm gonna give it a 4. It's close to like I think
Ooh.
a 4.5 maybe,
Mm.
Oh,
Whoa.
Whoa.
but like yeah,
Okay.
at least a 4. I think out of all the books we did, this and Carmilla, I think this is better than Carmilla for me. Yeah, this might
all
be my
right.
favorite of like all of them that we've done so far.
Ooh. That's coming in strong.
That's pretty good. Shawn, how are you feeling?
Um, Almost the same. I actually think it is kind of a similar vibe as Carmilla, except for obviously in the future. Well, its future. But I give it a 4, but it's kind of a 3.5 to a 4.
Gotcha.
It kind of left me with more questions than I had questions answered.
Okay. I'll go next. I gave it a 3. I liked it. There were some complaints I have, but we will definitely hit those. But I think that introducing some questions was actually a good thing for me because it actually made me think about the book. After I finished it, instead of just it was a book. So. Oh,
Yeah. Yeah. I'm also at a 3. This one was like it was hard. There was some stuff I really liked a lot, and then there was some stuff I was not a big fan of. So it averages out to like a 3. But overall, I liked it.
yep. Harley.
Wow. Yeah, like a 3, but probably more of a 2.5. You hit me upside the head, I could probably give you a 3. Yeah, no, there's some good bits. I think the second half was better for me than the first half.
Ooh.
It's kind of lame the first half. I don't know. Yeah,
You know what's funny? I think I
aren't you the
preferred the first half.
yeah, aren't you the other way? Oh my god. I think that's because most of the action happened in the second half. That's why I was like,
Yeah.
oh, nice. Oh, and then yeah, and then it ended, and I was like, eh. I was
Yeah.
like, come on, man.
Yeah, the ending was didn't hit as hard as I thought it would.
Toad love, and I was like, you can't
Yeah.
just end me on toad love. You gotta, I don't know, give me something.
I was waiting for the toad and the donkey to come back to the story. I was like, they mentioned this for a reason. They have to.
Did they mention the toad and the donkey earlier? I
Yeah, at the very
totally
beginning,
forgot.
it's
Oh, I don't
Okay.
even. I didn't
yeah,
even know they
Mercer's
did that.
favorite animals. They reference it again later. He says
I
it's
know
his
they
favorite.
referenced it at the end, but I didn't remember it happening earlier. It just
I just
left
thought it
my
was such a weird thing, like toad and a donkey.
I think I
I
know
was like, this
why.
will probably come back.
Because like the whole concept of it's mercerism, right?
Yep.
And the whole concept is about like a guy going up a hill or some shit like that.
Yeah, and
well,
dying, and then he's reborn
Oh,
to do it again.
isn't that like a parallel to the whole like Sisyphus thing or something?
Yep.
yeah,
And like I think like
pretty
the
similar.
donkey and the turtle represent like persistence, like slow and steady. And I think they're both. I like the donkey's known for me like a pack animal,
Yep.
like carrying a bunch of shit.
Yeah, well, what about a toad? Is a toad
What's the
fit
toad
in?
Oh, was it
represent?
toad? I thought it was turtle.
No, it's a
That was a
toad.
toad.
Toad, yeah,
Yeah.
that one I'm not too sure.
They do mention a turtle at the end, but that's when.
They do mention a turtle at the end.
Oh,
Yeah,
it's
just
like
when he's talking to the pet store.
yeah.
When she
Oh,
is.
So that's probably why he maybe got caught up.
because he found the toad, right?
Yeah,
just
he found
it.
a toad.
He's
The
just like,
wife
oh,
called the pet store to get food, and they
oh,
mentioned like what turtles eat, while she's on the phone with the pet store.
I
So
actually
the-
thought he found the toad and he was just like, "Oh, this is extinct." And I was like, "Oh, it's gonna be like a happy ending." No,
It's kind of a happy ending, I guess.
I guess
I think they were happy.
No, I
he was
think
happy.
their
think so.
marriage was restored, but the ending, he
Was
literally
it?
he's exactly the same as he was at the beginning of the book.
I think his wife's just gonna be depressed in a few days. You give her some time.
I
He's
think
there with his electronic animal, now smaller, and he's probably going to get another sheep that's electric. Except now he may or may not have a job if he quits. But his life is the same now. He's without an animal, living the same
Well, not
life. All the androids
necessarily.
are gone. Well,
yeah, I think his
You got
viewpoint
3K.
is kind of
Yeah.
different at the end compared to how he
Yeah.
started.
he would have had 6K. He basically burned 3K on the goat.
Yeah, he should definitely sue or something. I don't
I
know
think
what the
that's-
legal
I think-
system's like.
Yeah. I really wanted like to further that little plot with Rachel because that just left wide open. He
Yeah,
just gets to scot free.
I thought at the end, like when he left, he was gonna go after Rachel,
Same.
and then he just flies into the middle of the desert. I don't,
Yeah.
for no reason. I don't know.
Jesus with Mercer.
What wasn't it like he was going that direction and he like chose to stop?
That's what I thought, but I'm not sure now.
I don't.
Because
I
he
was thinking-
drove.
I was thinking he was in
30 minutes.
Oregon, right?
He was
found
on the
toad.
border of
Oh.
one of the states near California. I don't
Yeah,
think he was in Oregon, but
Because I thought that the robotics place was in Washington, and then he lived in California, so I thought it said that he was stopping in Oregon.
He said he said he drove north
Yeah,
for 30 minutes or 40 minutes or something.
yeah, I think he said he was like on the border of California and Oregon, like right
Okay.
around there.
But that
So-
originally that's what I expected when he was on his way out. I was like, oh, he's going to confront Rachel and the Rosen family,
yeah.
which had a bigger but also smaller part in the story than I expected. I thought they would be a little more into it. I thought she would have come into the story much earlier.
Who, his wife?
Oh yeah,
Or
have you?
Rachel?
No, the Rachel Rosen,
Yeah,
the
Rachel.
android.
I got you.
Should we get a quick poll on who has seen? Oh, I guess I probably should have stated. Do androids dream of electric sheep is the basis for the movie Blade Runner. Now, who here has actually seen that movie? Because I have not.
I have seen
I have
Blade Runner
not.
and the sequel.
Sorry,
I
Birdman.
have not seen it.
Am I the
I
only
have.
one who's seen the movie?
I
I've
saw
seen
the
it, but
sequel in theaters.
it's been a long time, and I don't remember anything about it.
I love the movie.
The sequel's 2049 or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was a remake, so I went and saw that, not knowing that it was a sequel. So right now,
Yeah, that might not. Yeah.
I liked
I also
it.
like
It was
the
alright.
sequel.
But I plan on watching the actual one maybe later and/or this week, like Blade Runner.
Yeah, I think we might try to. Maybe we'll try to watch the original movie together or something.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
I didn't see the movie.
Um,
I did see the first 10 minutes, and it starts off very different.
There you
Yeah,
go.
it
Yeah,
does.
I
It
think
starts
the
off
movie
very
as a
different.
whole is very different.
I think it's a lot more action oriented.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Now,
There's a good
given
bit
I
of action,
haven't seen
but
anything about it, but
there's
The action in this book
action.
is barely action.
Yeah,
it's
it's like
the
a
way
few
he writes.
sentences.
It's pretty bad.
The way he
Yeah.
writes is extremely monotone. Everything has this just like we're all just in an office
Yeah.
talking, like the whole thing.
well, I mean,
It's
it
really
is.
weird.
It is Rick's every day. It is just his job. So
I
this is
guess.
just another day in the office for him.
And God forbid, put a little pizzazz on your day in the office. If you're telling me a story. but,
I'm not having a day of pizzazz in my office. I'm kicking my feet up. And
Yeah,
No,
but you
your-
also
your
don't
job
hunt
sucks ass.
androids in
Yeah,
a
you don't hunt
life or
androids.
death situation.
You know.
Yeah, I thought the action was written pretty poorly.
They're not supposed to
Uh,
be action, Noah. It's supposed to be about fucking
Well,
electrical animals.
Okay, but there is
There's-
action in the book, and
There's
I
too
think
much
you can write it
fucking
better.
animal talk.
I think
and
you can write it
understand-
better. That's all
I
I'm saying.
understand that it's supposed to be about fucking having things you don't need, all that
That's just at the end.
bullshit, whatever. But there's too much animal talk. There's not this much. There is animal talk in the movie, but there's too much fucking animal talk.
I think the animal talk support. Oh, all right, hold on. Do we want an author burner here, real quick?
You want to what?
An author burner here, real quick. You want me to just
Sure,
give a
let it
quick
rip.
little summary? So, Philip K. Dick, he got an award for best novel from Hugo. I think it's like science fiction and fantasy.
For this?
No, actually, it's for the story before this called "The Man in the High Castle." He was age
Oh,
33.
Oh, I
I've
want to
heard
read
of
that
that.
too.
And Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep was his second. Believe it or not, Philip was a he had years of drug abuse and hallucinations
I do
in
believe that.
his
Yeah.
history. He's a master of imaginative and paranoid fiction in the vein of Kafka and Pynchon. Popular films adapted from his works include Total Recall, Minority Report, and, of course, Blade Runner. From his time in school, he believed that existence is based on internal human perception, which is not necessarily the same as external reality. I think that's fairly relevant to the book, where what's real and what's not, right? And I got a quote here. I don't believe that the universe exists. I believe that the only thing that exists is God. So that should kind of tell you, how he's feeling about Mercerism and, the idea of Mercer as a religious figure, right? And good.
No, keep going.
Another quote here is, reality is a mass delusion we have been required to believe for reasons totally obscure. And he actually died 5 months before the Blade Runner film was released.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
Yep.
Couldn't make that nut.
Yep. I do have a quote here from Ursula Le Guin as well, fantasy writer. They actually went to the same college, I believe. They were in the same class, but they didn't, know each other at the time. But Ursula's quote is, "There are no heroes in Dick's books." Meaning, I don't think we should be thinking of Rick as a hero or,
Mm.
anything like
agree.
that.
That's kind of what this book tackles too, especially near the end.
He got
like
all he could ever want at the end. He is my hero.
he did
No,
not.
I don't think
You
that
just
he
said
got
his
everything.
marriage was happy, Shawn.
That's it. His marriage was
Okay.
saved, at least at that
Happy
point.
wife, happy life.
Otherwise, his life did not change in the least.
But he's
He was
happy
$3,000 richer.
in his marriage.
It did change. He's in a lot more debt now.
Also, you're allowed to bone robots with no
Yeah.
remorse. That's pretty fun.
No, you're not. It's illegal.
Yeah, but he got away with it.
Well, yeah.
Okay, well there you go.
Well, you don't know he doesn't feel remorse, but
Yeah,
he
I was
doesn't show
gonna
that
say,
he feels remorse. But
Okay, you're allowed to bone robots and still get your wife at the end from the context of this story. I don't know if he doesn't have his wife later, but in the story he has his wife still.
Are there more books to this, or just the films?
There is a sequel, but
there?
it was done by Philip or whatever, Philip
there
Dick's
is.
friend. Philip
Okay,
Dick's
well.
friend.
Interesting.
Let me make sure.
I
Doesn't
like the
count.
themes quite a bit. The whole morality and reality. I thought that was cool.
yeah,
It was-
I felt like I generally, there's a lot of good ideas, but then some of them kind of fell flat or
well, some stuff just kind of goes like doesn't not get explained, but it's like not fleshed out. Like I wanted to know more about so many things in the book and in the world.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
It doesn't touch on.
there's a sequel called. There's actually 3 more books made by K.W. Jeter. Blade Runner 2: The Edge of Human. That is the sequel. So if you want more, there you go. People said it was meh though.
It's a different author
Hmm.
though, right?
It is a different author, yes. But yeah, there's Blade Runner 2, Blade Runner 3, and Blade Runner 4. So if you want more, there you go. I'd rather watch the movie.
that's all right.
I wonder if it's like endorsed by the original author or if this is just like a incident of
That they were also made 30 years later, so
Okay.
Yeah,
then.
definitely not.
yeah, I think he might have been dead at that point.
Oh, he
Yeah.
died before the first movie came out.
Yeah, the movie came out like 1982.
Yep. Yeah, and these books came out in the 90s. So yeah, I'm guessing it was probably like his estate or something said that they could do it.
Got a Lord of the
Um,
Rings things going on right now.
Yeah. All right, so I wanted to bring up one specific event. So when he's getting arrested at the opera, right?
Mhm.
I started to think, oh, Deckard must be an android with false memories, because
I
he's
100% thought that too.
I was
'Cause he-
thinking the same thing.
yeah, he went to the phone, and like someone else picked up, and I was like, well, how the heck would they fake that? I was like, that's kind of crazy, right? So I was excited. I was like, all right, great. But then when he had photos that had Garland in it, like the police detective, right, or the chief or something,
Yeah.
I was like, okay, maybe everyone's an android, right? And like they're all just kind of like living on Earth and just don't realize that they are androids, right? But that appears to not be the case, right?
Yeah,
And I
that-
was like, I don't know. I feel like it might have had more of a punch,
Yeah,
if
that scene-
everyone was just an android. But
That scene
Right.
definitely made me question everything about it. I was just like, oh, is there going to be like a crazy twist? Because now nothing seems real.
yeah,
Yeah.
Who knows
that
what
was
to happen?
awesome. And then immediately he followed it up with, "Oh nope, it is real. He's
Yeah.
not an android."
It was really
Well,
gross.
yeah, Garland
Also,
just says everything. He just tells him everything.
Yeah, like that.
It's weird
that
'cause I
was-
think-
Oh,
The android, like all the interactions with the androids, is so weird, and it's like kind of cool, but also really annoying when you're reading it because it's all these really intense things that if they were to happen in real life, it would be a really stressful situation. But everyone is perfectly calm. Everyone's being arrested. They've got weapons out. They're like, okay, they
He's just sitting in his
put the weapon
car, and
away.
the
It's
android
so-
shows up and tries to kill him
Yeah,
immediately.
he's in the car, and he's just like, "Oh, I'm definitely gonna die," and they're just chatting. Like everything's so casual.
Yeah.
yeah. I think in general the dialogue is not very good, or at least it doesn't feel realistic.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Kind of in the same vein as like what you're describing now. It's a lot of the dialogue just like that's not even close to how it would actually happen
Yep.
in real life.
Now-
Yeah, well, he was definitely trying to input a little bit of made up slang to like make it more future. There's a few like words they use that I'm like, oh, that's a weird choice.
Yeah, you dirty Andy.
Ant head.
Yeah, that one was fine. Yeah, the
Yeah.
ant head and chicken head,
Yeah, you dirty.
which I think those ones kind of because they kept using them, so they kind of worked. But he threw in just the slang that we would have used, or maybe they used back when the book was written, that doesn't translate to current modern day.
Yeah, for me, it's not even the slang. It's just it feels kind of stunted, like the just people talking to each other. It just doesn't feel real.
Well, everyone's kind of like flat. Like, and one of my complaints too, and I don't know, they essentially reduced Rachel Rosen to a glorified sex toy.
Yeah, that whole
Mm.
scene was weird.
I was like, I don't know about this
The
one.
whole
You
thing
gotta give the
happens. I'm
readers
like,
what they want, Sean.
I'm convinced it's fan service because the whole scene, I'm like, why is this happening? At the end,
Yeah.
they're done and getting changed, and she's like, oh, you took advantage of the fact that androids can't keep themselves from passion. I'm like, really?
Well, and
Program.
I think she said that she does this all the time, essentially, right?
Well, she said she did it 6 or 9 times, including him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I remember that. Yeah.
And then
And
it was cool that it happened with the other bounty hunter, and then that made Deckard sad, I guess.
yeah.
She wasn't special anymore.
Yeah, and I felt like his wife, like Iran. Is that how you say her name? I just
think so,
assume it's
yeah.
like the country.
That's how I said it. Yeah.
Okay. I felt the same like with her, where I don't know. I just felt like she's just kind of flat. I was like, I don't know. I guess I was intrigued, with the concept of wanting to feel, boredom or misery or, depression, right? Because emotions are so like synthetic in this world, right? I thought that was interesting that there's at least one person that doesn't
I
want to
I thought her
dialogue.
character was the most believable in that world
I think so too.
because she's like completely consumed with like um the whatever, like the quote unquote like
Empathy
morality of like
Oh.
having the pet and like being able to tell other people like how you feel because everyone's, what's the word, they're like living like fake lives essentially out in the public, and they're
Yep.
trying to hide anything like that's seen as not as good, I guess.
Yeah. Now, here's a kind of hot take here. I'm still not 100% convinced that Deckard is human. Now, I think he probably is, which is disappointing. But, there's things like, him seeing Mercer, which, I mean, that could be a hallucination because I think he had been awake for a long period of time under a lot of duress.
That whole moment was kind of weird to me. Like I didn't really fully get it.
Yeah, it was like a physical manifestation of Mercer. And I was like, what the heck's going on here,
Well, the Mercer thing is what throws me off the book so much because I don't know what's going on. Because what's his name? You're the special.
Buster friendly.
No.
Isidore?
Isidore, yeah, he had
Oh,
the
my
same
man.
type of thing going on. He was also a really interesting character. He had the most personality
I
of
loved Isidore.
any other character.
Yep.
He has the best foreshadowing too. But he has like a similar thing, and I'm like, what is happening? I don't understand. Like they're talking to him. I'm like, is he hallucinating? Is he an android? Are they like 1984ing something into his building? Like I don't know what's going on, and it doesn't get explained.
Yeah. The other point here to not necessarily believing that Deckard's human is felt like throughout the entire book, he's exhibiting behavior that we wouldn't really expect from a human. Kind of like what Noah's saying with like some of the dialogue was just kind of weird, but also just like when he's initially administering the test to Rachel Rosen, right? And he's like, "Oh shoot, my test failed." And all of a sudden, like I felt like it was just kind of out of nowhere. He's like, "Oh, you are an android." It's like, what the heck? It's like I don't know. I felt like there were some like leaps in his decision making, and like thought process that seemed odd to me, right?
He did
Yeah.
also seem like quite apathetic in general.
Yeah,
Like
he
gave
did.
more of a shit about the different kind of fucking animals he saw throughout his
He
like
did
little
love.
journey.
Yeah, he had a problem with animals. I get it's a fucking, it's a status symbol, but man, he had. I think he had a little thing with animals. What'd he do with the sheep? I want to know. Yeah, you don't know. We don't know. That could be a fucking replicant implant.
Yeah. The other thing I was gonna say too is like the tests that he's passing, to prove that he's human, right? They're very focused on animal treatment and sexual deviance, right?
Yeah.
Oh.
Anything outside of that is kind of irrelevant as far as determining like empathy and like in turn like humanity or humanness, right?
And like those two
So
things are
now,
his thing, basically.
Well, the test does the like grotesque things where it's like, would you eat this oysters or dog? And there's no different, like the androids don't see a difference. They're like, oh,
I
well,
thought they
why would
did.
you do that? No, they didn't. That's partly why he knew it was an android. Same with like the human skin thing or whatever, or baby skin as like an upholstery. The
wasn't a
android doesn't
bear skin?
react. No, it was a human. I can't remember what it was for. Well, he uses that metaphor a couple times. Or
Yeah,
not,
there's
that
like a
question couple
human
times.
skin rug or something.
But
Okay.
yeah, and they
That
don't
was a bear
have
skin.
they don't have like a reaction to it, and that's what tips them off.
But I mean, a lot of those questions, I don't think would, at least in this world, right? Obviously, it wouldn't prove anything as far as like determining empathy levels or humanness, right? Like, oh yeah, you walk in and your mom's eating chicken chow mein, and like, in their world, it's like, oh, that's gross. Like, why would you be doing that? But here, it's just kind of like, oh yeah, it's kind of normal, right?
Yeah, I
So
feel
it's-
like they also kind of like when they pulled the whole "is Deckard an android" thing. Like, I feel like it kind of set it up because the
Yeah.
main point that they said the difference between androids and humans was lack of empathy, and
Yep.
dude definitely wasn't very empathetic
Yeah,
towards his
exactly.
wife or anything up to that point.
Well, maybe a little
Uh,
bit.
What do you mean? He was trying to get money for animals for his wife.
Not
That
for
was for
his
him, though.
wife, not for her. He did that
Yeah.
for himself.
I thought he was gonna so she wouldn't bitch anymore.
No, he just said that.
At
He
the
said
start, he
that to
was
make her
trying
happy,
to
but
console her.
At least he's lying. He could just not lie.
And there's a point in time where he was like ready to like ditch his wife as well for Rachel too. Like he straight up said,
yeah,
That
like
was true.
dude
I
does
don't think
not
he's
really
quite
show a
selfish.
lot of empathy at all.
No, he doesn't. He's kind of a cock.
So I feel like
Would
they
you
set
blame
that
him?
up
He's
pretty
out there
well.
risking his fucking life every day. He can't have a little bit of selfishness.
But that's all he
Well, he can, but he can still be empathic. But like,
Mm.
I feel like they set it up pretty well, and then they're like, "Oh no, he's not an android. Never
Yeah.
mind." That sucked.
Well, he says
I
he's
didn't like
definitely
that.
not an android, right?
Well,
Like it's he
I mean,
himself
we
saying
don't.
it, but we can't
He
trust
says
him.
that, but do we actually know
Exactly.
that? Because they were saying that the only way you can like truly prove it is to like look at the spine or whatever, right?
It's like a bone marrow thing or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm convinced he's not an android because Rachel wouldn't have done anything with him otherwise. Because they were
Well,
trying to extract data so that they could bring it back and
I-
make better androids.
in my hypothetical, it's not that it's only him that's an android. I think it could very well be pretty much anyone in the book is an android.
It could even be you.
Now, getting on to the next point here, do humans truly exhibit any sort of empathy throughout the book, right? So, I mean, they're obviously disgusted by animal cruelty because it's like programmed into them from a young age, that you got to hate that stuff, right? But yet they continue to treat, chicken heads and like other specials as less than human, right?
Isidore doesn't do that though. He's
I would
Well,
say Isidore is
that's
like
what
the
I got here.
exception.
I got Isidore is the only one that is consistent in exhibiting, feelings of empathy, right?
Hmm.
And he even took care of like androids, even though they acted counter to his beliefs. So like, even though they're cutting apart a spider that he had just saved in his apartment, he didn't like freak out on him. He just kind of like made some space, left them
He
in
was-
there.
Yeah,
And he
he was
went,
really distraught by it.
He was.
He was,
distraught by it.
yep.
But he has the most empathy, I think, of all the characters.
I
Like,
agree. Yeah.
He's special because he didn't pass the IQ test.
Yep.
Which, at first, I was just like, interesting. But then he tried to dismantle a live cat.
Yeah.
So I was
Well,
like,
to be
okay,
fair,
I'm convinced.
I think that the electric one seemed fairly,
But he found the switch. There was no switch. What did he find?
Did he say he found a switch?
Yeah, he looked for the panel under the cat.
I thought
It's
he
like,
said
oh,
he
it's
was looking and he, the cat just stopped moving, so he thought he got it or something.
I thought he.
Because the cat
Okay,
died.
I'd have to reread it then, but
I mean, I could be
remember
wrong
it.
too. I don't know.
But I remember him like trying, because then he Milt, or I think his name is, asks him. He's like, "Did you try to find the control panel?" He was like, "Yeah, I thought it was a really good replica."
Yep.
I mean, in his defense, his replicas are really good.
They
Yeah.
are really good.
Here's another complaint I had. I thought the androids, or at least like the what were the most recent ones called? Were they M6 or something, or
Nexus 6.
Nexus 6? I thought like the Nexus 6s, at least like Pris, would show or would prove to show some sort of empathy, right? So there would be some sort of
convincing.
Yeah, I thought there would be some sort of like internal conflict with like Rick killing them, right? But I don't know, like having Pris specifically being the one that's cutting the legs off of the spider, I was like, man, it's like you're turning these people into like a caricature so that we don't feel bad, with
I
Rick
also
killing
thought
them.
there would be more because she's the doppelganger of Rachel. I thought
Yep.
they would have a big dialogue when he got there. He basically just walks in and John Wicks all three of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it just in like a sentence, he just annihilates
Yeah.
one of them, and then there's just nothing. Even though there's like all this buildup for how much of an emotional thing it would be,
Yep.
it just wasn't at all.
Yep. Now, I do get, some humans do this to animals, right? But it's just like, I don't know, man. It was just so over the top to do something like that. It's like, I don't know, man.
It
Yeah,
did. It was uncomfortable, but it made a really cool scene with that going on. Plus the announcement, like Mercer is
Yeah.
not real, because it basically what's his name again? Isidore.
Isidore?
Isidore? Yeah.
Isidore. It basically, like, his whole life is in shambles at that point.
Mm.
yeah.
Like,
I
it's
just
such a stressful scene for him.
Well, kind of like Cody was saying, like it's like, oh, maybe these new androids can show empathy or something. It's like it introduces all these questions just to then say, nope, it's
Fuck you.
all actually very black and white. They're bad,
Yeah.
and it's like, okay, well, what was the purpose of that? I don't know.
Well, I don't think that they necessarily say that the humans are good, though. I think that they kind of say, you know, everyone bad.
I don't know.
Other than, I guess they don't say anything about Isidore, really. But
And it's not necessarily that the androids are bad. It's just that they are subhuman. Like
yeah,
they're inferior. Is is more like it.
yeah.
Not gonna
I guess
lie.
empathy is their basis of, like, consciousness.
When
So
I
androids can't show empathy.
when I was
You can just
reading.
pretend.
Oh fuck!
Go
I'm
ahead.
cutting you off. You keep going. You keep
Go ahead.
going.
Nope. Go.
Oh, okay. When I when I was reading the book, right, and I got to the part where Isidore met Pris, from that point to like the point where Pris starts like picking off like the spider's leg, I was
Yep.
hoping they'd like have like a romantic kind of subplot or something. That
Yeah.
whole time I was waiting for it, and it never happened.
I wasn't hoping for a romantic subplot, but I mean, like, just something to make her seem like, oh, she can care about Isidore, or she can care about an animal, or care about her android family, right? I don't know.
And
I'm with
instead, we
Arjun.
get
I
the
wanted them
Rachel
to fall in
scene,
love and have little android babies.
right?
Yeah.
I was waiting for it.
Yeah.
I thought something might happen, but then the other woman android, I forget her name now. The wife to
Yep.
Roy. She actually, I thought she read pretty empathetically,
I think so.
because every time Pris basically just brushed off Special. I will never remember his name.
Isidore. Yeah.
Isidore. I don't know why I said it like a billion times when I was reading it too.
What's his
But
first name? John?
J.R.
John,
Isidore.
yeah,
Easier?
JR.
Jr. Isidore. It's like John
Oh, JR.
R. Yeah.
She
JR.
called him that too, John R. Isidore. But I thought something might happen between them, and then she would like help him get away, and then make her husband and Pris have to deal with Deckard. But nothing came of that.
Yeah, she did seem like she was potentially showing some signs of empathy.
Yeah, well, she scolded Pris when she was mean to
That is true.
Yep.
John.
That's actually really true.
Well,
Why would she? I wonder why.
you'd think that the newer model would be the one that would have better behavior too.
Yeah,
though.
exactly.
Also, like even if the androids don't have the ability to have empathy, they should at least be like smart enough to know what empathy is and how to emulate it.
Like a
At
psychopath.
least,
Like a psychopath, right?
yeah, like they know what it is and they could at least fake it. You know,
Why are
Yep.
we
it's like
building
they weren't even
robots that can be
capable of that.
psychopaths, though?
Well, I don't think that was. Wait, but you're saying just like, why are they trying to make them blend in with humans?
Yeah, was that established at the beginning of the book?
I don't know if they really establish it, but I would assume.
Do
They kind of hit on it a little
they
bit.
don't show the guy who makes the robots, right? Or do they talk about the guy who's
I
like
mean,
Yeah,
they
he
went
made
to
them.
the company where they make them.
I don't
Yeah,
remember if they talked to like the CEO guy or
It's
not.
Rosen,
They talked to
isn't
the
it?
lady.
Like the Rosen
yeah,
company or
yeah.
something.
They
Yeah.
talked to him.
They
I'm
talked to them both
confusing
very briefly.
elements of the movie with the book. I don't.
They talked to Mr. Rosen.
Okay.
Very
Yeah,
briefly.
he was like, "This
That's
is
where he
what the
meets
people
Rachel.
on Mars wanted. If we didn't make it, some other company would have."
No, that's fair.
I want to know why they're banned on Earth.
Because the
Oh.
only way they can get out is to murder their master on Mars and then escape.
They're not banned on Earth. It's just some of them run away from Mars on Earth, and they're not allowed to be there.
Yeah, that's why
'Cause they're-
Rachel. He shouldn't have killed Rachel, which he didn't, right? Because
Yeah,
that's
Rachel's an
company
android who's
property.
allowed to be on Earth.
Yeah.
Well, she's a prototype who lives at the company. That's
Yeah.
the only mention of an android outside of the like illegals that they talk
Yeah.
about.
Mm.
But I also want to know what's happening on Mars. That I guess like they're just indentured slaves. So they just
Yeah,
wanna
exactly.
escape.
I mean, they're probably getting abused, based off of human
Yeah.
history. Obviously,
They describe it as a wasteland.
if we can punch down, then Lord knows we're gonna do it. So
Yeah. Well, what's her face? The one android who lived with Isidore. I forget her name. Pris.
Prissy.
Pris.
Yeah.
Yeah, like she described it as she was just bored. Like there just
Well, they
wasn't
were-
anything to do.
they were living in like a small community of androids on Mars, I think, before they came. Right?
I don't know if it was just a community of androids though.
I thought it was. I was thinking that they had all escaped and they were living together on Mars, and then they escaped to Earth.
I thought I thought they lived with humans and then escaped Mars to go to Earth. There wasn't like an in between escape.
Yeah, I don't know.
They don't go into a ton of detail, I don't think. So it's probably easy to miss. I don't remember.
Yeah, there's so many things that just I wish would have went into more detail.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of stuff here that's good. Like just extrapolate on it. That doesn't happen. You get some like incoherent stuff or some stuff that just contradicts or makes irrelevant the stuff that came before.
So back to the empathy thing. Having an electric animal is seen as like a lesser thing than taking care of a living animal. But I feel like, if they were truly showing empathy, it wouldn't matter, right? Because, like I'm out here, I'm saying thanks to the voice assistant, and they're less sentient than those animals and the androids, right? And at the beginning, Deckard's neighbor, right, has a pregnant horse, and Deckard tells him that, his sheep had died, and he has an electric animal right now, right? And the neighbor, was feeling some sort of like discomfort, right? And he escapes the conversation by offering practical solutions like buying a cheap animal like a rat or something like that, rather than offering him the baby animal, right? Even though he knows that he's going to face danger in his job trying to get a real animal to replace it, right? So the neighbor right there, even though he owns a real animal, obviously doesn't feel any sort of empathy towards, Rick's position, right?
Yeah, I think that's part of like the pull where it's like status still has this hold on humanity. Because
Yeah.
status will overtake it, and that's like the greed of humanity. So they have
Yeah.
to pretend to show empathy as like a status symbol, and they take care of real animals, try to propagate. It's like, oh, we're helping the planet, we're helping the animals, because it seems like everything's extinct.
That's what I
Pretty
thought.
much.
Yeah.
And I also found out I'm an android because I had no empathy for the poor financial decision that Rick made with buying that goat.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
was wild.
He deserved that shit. Go broke, buddy.
I like the negotiation of the owl because he's like, yeah, I'll take that owl, and then the lady's like, all right, but we pretty much get all rights to that owl when you're dead. So, and then
That was
she's
so
like,
funny.
I'm not fucking taking the owl if you're gonna send a hitman on me for the owl. And I was like, it's kind of fucked.
He's like, I know what it's like to be hunted.
Yeah, I know what it's like to be hunted, and he's like, well, I'm not fucking.
Is that empathy, I wonder? Or...
That's just like scared shitless.
Fair.
Yeah, I when I think of this book, when it's like, okay, there's no animals, I'm like, all right, this is a hellscape, like a fucking
Yep.
climate catastrophe where there's like no trees or no. It's like, oh man, there's no bees alive. Like I get electric bee. It's like, well, if there's like no fucking animals, some of them we kind of need. It's like, I don't know, just him going up to like Oregon and stuff. It's like, are you driving through like fucking giant forest fires, like going up there stuff?
Well, it probably
in
already
the
burned down.
in the movie, there's like flying cars and stuff. I don't know if they meant. I don't remember them mention like flying cars in the book.
Yeah,
But
they
Oh, yeah,
mentioned
I
they
think that's-
call it a hover car every time
Oh,
they
do they?
talk about it. Yeah.
well, I don't. I got even flying in the sky. I would just think like you're going to like fucking smoke with all the trees burning in my head.
Yeah, I pretty much picture it as like somewhere in between like a shanty town and like I Am Legend, where it's just like almost everything's abandoned, everything's
yeah,
crumbling,
yeah.
falling apart.
What fun!
How I want to know, how do they live on Earth? They mentioned they hadn't seen the stars in years.
Yeah.
I assume you're probably not getting a whole lot of sunlight to grow crops.
Where are people getting fucking food and water at when they're spending all their goddamn money on electric animals?
You
Yeah,
do the
they do have running
Snowpiercer thing.
water still somehow.
Why are they paying their bills when they're spending on fucking electric sheep maintenance?
They don't mention food like barely at all. I was
Yeah,
also wondering how food worked.
And
She
how
did just
prices-
press a button and on her stove and coffee just automatically came out. So they're
I-
in some sort of future tech world.
And Deckard ain't getting paid well from these fucking jobs. He's getting like $1,000 each. Which if we're like doing like, because the book takes place in what, like 2025 right now.
2021.
Well, he gets
Yeah,
2021.
I could be wrong, but doesn't he get like a base small salary? But then like the incentive is like to hunt the
Yeah, but
androids.
isn't the incentive like $1,000 for each fucking body he brings in?
But that's
Yeah,
not
he
yeah,
doesn't
like
have
a
a-
base kind of. Like,
Didn't
They don't have a
account for
good
that
reference
inflation
point.
very well.
Yeah.
For how much everything costs outside of just the animals. The animals are crazy expensive, and the electric animals are much cheaper. But they don't give you like a reference for any other. anything
I
else.
think the animals are kind of like cars, just like luxury. There's luxury cars, and then there's your daily drivers, your beaters,
Yeah, but
that kind
Yeah,
of
that's what it sounds
You
like.
need a car to like get where you need to go. You don't need a fucking animal to.
It's a status symbol, you know.
Yeah, exactly. That you don't get it for the function, you get it for the status.
Yeah, I'm
I'd say
assuming
they're more
food
like
and housing
beautiful
is just
paintings you
solved.
get.
Yeah, it's the
Maybe.
same thing.
A
But
car,
everyone's
like a luxury
everyone's
car,
got one
maybe.
though. Everyone's got one. That's what I'm saying. Is there's luxury cars, there's functional cars, there's
Yeah, you got your car, Harley. It's a Facebook marketplace
Facebook
Yeah.
beater, and then
marketplace
you got
car.
you
Yeah,
got
but you
someone
need
with
at
one.
least you do. I don't know. The animal's like useless to me, whereas the car, at least you can do something with. I guess you can.
but
fuck
at a
the
certain
animal.
point the car is useless, right? I mean, the animal
car's
probably
stupid.
has some sort of use to a certain extent,
Yeah,
right?
it keeps your wife quiet.
Yeah, no, you're
You get
taking
milk.
care of another living being, right?
You can get
So,
milk from the goat, the electric
could.
goat.
Yeah, not that wasn't
How does that
electric.
work?
Get them pregnant.
It was a
You
real
tell me
goat.
we can make electric goat milk simulation, but we can't fix the fucking planet,
It was a Nubian goat, black Nubian goat.
which was electric, right?
No, it was
No.
real.
Oh, I was talking
That
about
one
like
was real.
electric sheep.
No,
The
that
goat
one was
was
real.
real.
That's why it was such a big thing. It like instantly took his wife out of her depression. She was like, "Now I don't have to lie to everyone anymore."
No, she has to take pills to make her watch TV.
Yeah,
She did have to she had to dial it up.
Yeah, she had to dial it up. Just get some more pills. You don't need animals. Get more pills for your wife.
Also, what was what is snuff? Decker
Yeah,
just keeps
I have the
huffing
same
his
question.
stuff.
I thought that was like
You know,
cocaine or heroin.
That's what I got from it. I have no idea because they don't really talk about what it does. He's just doing it
I don't remember snuff.
because
It's when he's in
yeah.
the desert at the end. He like takes some snuff multiple times.
Yeah, when he's on
I
the
mean-
call in between talking to people.
I mean, that's just tobacco.
Oh
Normally,
yeah, it might be.
Is it like chewing tobacco?
Yeah, it might be like chewing tobacco. Actually, yeah. Now you said that.
Kipple was the radioactive waste, I believe, as well.
Oh yeah, that was like the
Another slang.
Yeah,
kind
Well,
of
I
dust
think
or
kipple
something.
is just basically garbage, right?
Yeah,
I
that
think
was like-
Kipple
yeah, that
was
was
just like
radioactive.
useless.
it was like nuclear dust.
It doesn't have to be radioactive. Well, because he says everything turns to kipple. Like everything just kind of
Snuff.
is trash.
I thought that was pretty
Eventually.
funny.
Snuff is a smokeless tobacco that is made of finely ground or shredded tobacco leaves.
Oh, it's a
Yeah.
real thing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, I've
okay.
definitely heard the term before.
Oh, I haven't. I thought it was
Yeah, it's-
made up for this world.
It's pretty much chewing tobacco.
The Kipple thing I thought was pretty funny. Where, if you don't keep up on cleaning your house, it's gonna all get dirty and
I think
Gross.
they do a lot more with Kipple in the movie.
I feel
Also,
like
oops, sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say, Isidore at his house when he's having that like revelation after he's like having a freak out when he finds out Mercer's not real. He starts seeing bodies and stuff, and like the kipple's turning in like the horse, and then the bird lands on the horse and pecks its eye out. And I'm like, wait, is he hallucinating, or has he just
know.
gotten so used to living in like decay that this is what he's the actual world he's seeing now?
I think he was just like more or less hallucinating. I don't think that was reality.
And yeah, well, I don't think he actually saw that, but I'm wondering if that was like the world they live in, and like everything in his house is just full of kipple, and the kipple is literally just like decay and rot.
Yeah, I mean, I do think his house is decayed, and he had that one little spot cleared out, and I think that was pretty much it, right? I don't think it was like literal or whatever.
Does Isidore have like psychic powers?
I don't think so.
I wondered, well, because the
Didn't he
specials
bring
have
like
something.
animals back to life?
No, he met Mercer, and the spider came back to life.
No.
But then,
Before that, they were talking about his past, and like didn't he bring animals back to life?
He
And
brings
then
electric animals back to life.
no, not for his job. It was like his past before the book takes place. It was
I
their
don't remember because that's right at the beginning when you're first introduced to him.
yeah.
I have no idea.
Does no one remember this?
Nope.
Dude, I swear I'm not
It's
making
so
this
I
up.
quick because it's
remember
only
it.
one chapter.
Hold on.
Well, no,
Alright,
it looks
well,
that
while
up. We mentioned we mentioned the movies. We mentioned the crappy sequels. Also, for Blade Runner, there is a point and click adventure game. If anyone's interested in that,
Oh, there you go.
made in the 90s, I think. So there you go. If you want some more Blade running action, I think that one actually was kind of well received. So I could be incorrect, but there's a point and click action adventure game.
So, no, if you're still looking, I'll talk about Mercerism. I feel like that's kind of like the main takeaway for me, right? I feel like he was trying to say something with Mercerism, although I'm not too sure what, right?
Yeah.
Because they have these empathy boxes, right? So I mean that again reinforcing to me that humans don't truly feel empathy for anyone around them, right? They have to program that feeling in essentially, because when they stick their head in, it essentially averages out the feelings of everyone actively using it at that time, right? So if you're happy, you're compelled to put your head in, right? So that way everyone else gets a boost. And if you're down, you put your head in and everyone else will lift you up, right? But you at the same time you're dragging them down, right? So it's just like a constant I don't know if platitude is the correct word, but
I'm wondering because Deckard later on has a conversation with Iran about it, and that's what he says. He's like, "Yeah, but then I'm giving up my joy to someone else, and then I'm
Yeah.
not as joyful after." And she's like, "Well, it doesn't have to be that way." And he's like, "I guess I'm just not good at using it."
yeah.
So I'm wondering if it's. I want to know the purpose, its original purpose, because I feel like it would give you a better sense of where it fits in the world.
I wish they delved more into the mechanisms of how the empathy box actually worked.
Yeah.
Like I don't know, it's very abstract. Is it like is it a screen that they look at? Is it they see stuff in their mind? I don't know. If they get hit with rocks in there and then they actually bleed, right? How does that work?
Yeah. Don't know.
Yeah, none of that's really explained. I would
Yeah, that part was very confusing.
I guess I understand that it's more of like this is just an idea to get you thinking about this. Don't worry about
Yeah.
concern yourself with the actual implementation, but I am concerned with the actual implementation.
I got an infinite happiness hack here. Go to your mood organ, dial up the highest high you can think of, shove your head in your empathy box. You get a nice, nice
Oh,
even.
A nice buzz.
Yeah.
why don't people just do that?
Yeah, it's
I
like,
do
oh,
that
I'm
now.
feeling down. Let me dial it up real quick, and then then I'll stick my head in the box.
Also, it's kind of dystopian, but I feel like the whatever the thing they use to dial
Mood
emotions,
organ.
kind of mood organ. Yeah, that's pretty. I wouldn't mind one of those. Just saying.
Yeah.
It seems like it's basically the artificial replacement for the empathy box. Like, why would you use the empathy box if everyone has a mood organ?
Yeah.
I guess the empathy
that's what it
box
is.
is more of a religious experience.
Yeah.
That's my only explanation. Yeah.
Like it has to do with Mercer and Mercerism.
Well, and
specifically.
you feel connected to other individuals through that, whereas the mood organ you're alone. So I
Yeah.
guess that's the other use of it too. You have some sort of community, right? Some
Yeah, because you
sense of
feel what they
others.
feel.
Yeah.
I'm interested to know, like, the Rock thing was weird because he gets hurt using the empathy box.
Yep.
I want to know who threw the rocks when he was actually out in the desert.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Well, I don't
It's a
think there
barren
is
desert.
someone like he didn't. It's like one of those things. It's just an idea you're supposed to think about. There is no.
I don't know what the takeaway is either. It wasn't
Yeah,
obvious to me anyway.
that's fair.
So Mercer walking up the hill, I think it can kind of be seen as two things. Arjun already mentioned the one, which is the myth of Sisyphus with the boulder.
That seems, yeah. I feel like that makes the most sense.
And I do I think it makes a lot of sense, and I even applied that classic Camus quote, one must imagine Sisyphus happy. I think
Oh,
the end
he's
of the
so
book
happy.
I think the end of the book is you must imagine Deckard happy.
Okay.
Because he's got this major revelation about life with Mercer, right? And then it's confirmed by this, well, quote unquote, confirmed by the robotic toad, right? Only to find out it's a fake, right? So he's back at the bottom of the hill, but yet he's grown in some way, right? He's learned something new, and I feel like he and his wife are still happy in some way. I mean, he goes to bed and obviously he seems a little defeated, right? But they are still, or at least his wife, right, is planning to take care of the toad anyways, right? Because she calls the store and is like, "Hey, can I get some flies or whatever for my toad?"
Yeah.
The other
Although-
thing, go ahead.
I was gonna say, although he did really want a sheep on his way back,
Yeah.
he wanted another one.
The other thing I think you can compare it to is Jesus carrying the cross up the hill to his own crucifixion, right? Because obviously, dies at the top of the hill. He's getting berated, the whole way up the hill. And honestly, I think it might be more likely that it's this one that Philip meant, right? Because he's I gotta scroll up here to my notes about his personal life, but I believe he was a very big believer in religion, right? So I have to assume that it might be that.
I think so. I think it would be hard to symbolize things like that without at least having a pretty strong interest in it.
Yeah.
They don't mention Christianity at all in the book, but
They-
Rachel does use Jesus as a slur.
I was just gonna say someone uses Jesus as a slur in the book.
Oops, typo.
So
Yeah,
when I read that, that's what I thought. I was just like, oh, that's a slip up.
Yeah, I was gonna bring that up too, Shawn. It's like, is that intentional? I don't know. Like, if people know about Jesus, like, is no one a Christian? Now they're all mercerists.
Or is Mercer just Jesus?
I don't know.
Again.
But then
Also-
Jesus said that Mercer wasn't real. So.
Yeah.
I don't understand the whole like Mercer was an actor on a soundstage thing.
Yep.
They found all that out, but actually he's real. I don't.
Yeah, I'm assuming that he's not actually. Well, I mean, he's a real person, right? Like, I mean, the actor existed, right? But I don't know about like the visions of him as being real. I don't know. That's what confused me, right? It's like, okay, is this reality? Is this fake? Because like Isidore saw him too, right? So it's like Isidore saw him, Rick saw him. I'm like, what the heck's going on here, right?
Yeah, is it just like I don't understand how, like, if that guy was an actor and he made essentially movies about that, how did that how was that transmitted to them? Because the visions definitely seem like it's
Yeah.
not a movie. It's like a psychopathic thing that's
Yeah.
happening to you. You know,
Yep.
I feel like that was very. It just feels like, oh, here's some ideas. Don't think about how it works though.
What if it's just faith?
I'm wondering if it's just the most extreme version of seeing Jesus' face in a muffin.
Yeah.
And it's just like, oh, it's a sign, and then it guides you in life.
There you go.
Him having the going into the tomb world, Isidore, where he after the spider thing, really made me think that everyone was an android. And I was like,
Yep.
okay, they're like projecting this in, and they're just monitoring everyone. And they're like, you need to see this because it'll make him act this way. And then nothing came of it again.
So yeah, even though Mercer's exposed as a fake, I felt like it really didn't change the impact of the religion as far as like the comfort it provides and the connectedness that it provides. At least for the three humans that we see, like Isidore, Deckard, and Ron, right?
Yeah.
And I think you could kind of apply this to like modern religions, especially for militaristic atheists, right? Where even if you provide irrefutable proof that the religion is fake, it still offers some sort of utility for some people, right?
Yeah.
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 I'm wondering if he saw this as like where religion would end up in the far future, because it to me it seems like because humans there's so many that they've moved on other worlds that they needed some overarching way to get
Yep.
everyone to like, I guess, not be as individualistic.
Yep. And I guess it is cross planet then. So yeah, there's obviously going to be. Well, I don't know. Is the empathy box cross planet or is that only on Earth?
I assume it's cross,
would
but I
imagine
guess
that
we
it
don't
is.
know.
Yeah, because I
He doesn't
thought
explain anything.
Wait,
I'm
is
not
empathy
sure.
box the TV? Is that what the empathy? It's basically like
They
a
put
TV.
their head in it. I thought it was like more
Oh,
like VR goggles essentially.
so it's
Yeah,
like an
but
oven.
it's
that
got
you,
like handlebars on
Yeah,
the side, and you got to like put
the
both your
Sylvia
it has
hands
Plath.
on it.
handlebars on the side.
It does.
Yeah,
I
it's
thought it
got
was like a
like
TV, to
bars.
be honest.
I thought it was essentially him describing like imagine like VR goggles.
And
You put
I
VR
thought you
goggles
just got your brain microwaved for like a second, and you're like, oh,
So all of these people were alive before like whatever Great War. I forget what they called it. World War something.
Oh, Terminus.
Terminus. World War Terminus. They were alive before World War Terminus. They know what a movie is. Like they're familiar with that. Presumably, I think they would be able to tell if the empathy box they're just sticking their head in and watching a movie. I don't know. It's like, does no one even think about this for like 2 seconds?
Yeah.
The answer's no, because the author didn't think about it. He just wrote it and he's like, hey, think about this, but don't really think about it.
Now, I kind of have something that I felt like Shawn was going towards it a little bit, but I think you could view this story as a cautionary tale for how
Yes.
far some people will go in the name of religion. So when Mercer appears at the end, right, he tells Deckard to take out the androids, even though at that point they're essentially caricatures of evil, right? He says, well, here's the quote actually. The old man said, "You will be required to do wrong no matter where you go. It is the basic condition of life to be required to violate your own identity. At some point, or sorry, at some time, every creature which lives must do so. It is the ultimate shadow, the defeat of creation. This is the curse at work, the curse that feeds on all life everywhere in the universe." So, I mean, I think you could possibly view this as, cautionary tale as far as, what people will do in the name of their religion, right?
Basically anything.
Yeah. So,
Yeah, it's basically their way of justifying any action.
yep.
Yeah, I mean, that all makes sense, but like, well, I don't know. There's a lot of stuff in this book. It's like, yeah, that makes sense, but if that was what the messaging he was going for, he could have made that a lot more clear.
Yeah.
Well, yeah,
I like having questions coming out of a book, but I also like being able to assign some sort of answer to it. And I feel like there's not really a definitive answer to a lot of these questions that came out of the book.
This book feels like this guy just went on like a binger and wrote a book, and everyone's like, "This is the most like insightful thing I've ever read," and the guy doesn't even remember writing it.
I do kind of want to find like some academic essays on this book because I'm just curious. I got to see what other people say. But I tried looking a little bit. I didn't look that much, but I could not find much that was saying anything of any sort of value.
Yeah,
and
this book's
or
weird
insight.
because it feels like there's so much symbolism you're supposed to take away from it, and I feel like I missed so much of it.
Oh yeah,
Where like the mercerism and empathy and things like that are just like, oh, okay, what is this supposed to mean? And then you think it's one thing, and it's like, okay, well, maybe not, and maybe it's this. Oh, maybe it's not.
yeah.
And then you get no explanation, and now I'm like, well, I don't mind those questions, but when they're such an integral part of the book, I feel like they should have had some leaning into one or another direction.
At least one of the questions answered.
Yeah.
I'm dropping
Like,
my
there's
score.
basically
I'm
no
going
more.
down to 2.5.
You're going
Oh
to see
yeah,
that.
come on down, baby.
I'm dropping my score. Yeah.
I'm still at a 3. And when I finished, I told these guys, I was like, I'm really confused. I'm not sure how I feel
Did
because
you mention the fucking police department
I did.
scene? Okay,
Yeah.
I thought you did.
And I like
That was bullshit.
I still feel like it would have been better if they were all androids, or if the androids actually showed some sort of humanity, so that we felt bad about Rick killing them, or I don't know,
I didn't
man.
feel bad for anyone in this whole book. I didn't feel anything for anyone in this whole, and I don't know if that was how I was supposed to feel, but
I felt bad for Isidore.
I felt bad for Isidore only because I'm like, well, hey, one of those people. Hey, well, what
like
can you do?
Isidore.
That
like
was kind of
Isidore.
messed up, just cutting the spider up,
That was
and like
fucked up.
That was fucked up. That was
humans
bullshit.
have been so trained that like, oh, or animal life is sacred, and we gotta
Literally like
cherish all life.
5 paragraphs before he spirals downward. One of them starts with, life for J.R. Isidore had definitely taken an upswing.
Yeah.
And then the spider thing happens.
I was fully expecting like Isidore's whole life to turn into like an episode of like Friends with all his new like android friends.
I wish that's what would have happened.
Same. No,
I
if
thought he was
that
gonna
happened,
manifest powers.
if that happened, like it would have made the androids appear to be human, right? Like there is no difference. But yeah, no, it's like, yeah, we're gonna torture this thing in front of a guy that's very clearly feeling anguish because of my actions, right?
Yeah.
So it's not just the animal thing. It's like obviously Isidore is showing some sort of distress, right? And they just
Like,
don't care.
oh, do androids have empathy or not? Who
Well, they don't know
knows?
why
Oh,
he
I do.
cares.
They don't.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
they're
hang
kind of
on.
fucked up little creatures, ain't they?
Roy's was it Roy? Yeah, Roy's wife kind of did a little bit, right?
Roy G.
She
Biv.
was more empathetic than everyone except for Isidore.
Who?
Yeah.
Roy's wife, I forget her name now.
Irmgard.
Boy's wife.
Irmgard, yeah.
Oh, the android. The
Yeah.
android. Yeah.
I don't really remember her doing anything.
Well, she was like kind of calling out
but
Chris when she was like
I
dissecting
do
Shawn.
kind of remember that. Yeah.
She definitely
After you
read
brought
as
it
the
up.
most empathetic person besides Isidore. I
And
agree with that.
By
she was
far.
also enabling Chris to like let Isidore take care of her as well.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think we got to
She
write.
did that to make him feel better. That's like, it felt like she was being
Also,
empathetic.
wait, wasn't there like a whole statement of, oh, androids can't feel empathy for other androids; they only look out for themselves. But like,
Pretty
I think they
much.
can't feel empathy, period, so they have no empathy towards other androids as
like
well.
Irmgard had like a lot of empathy for like the other two androids because like she wanted all of them to like kind of get out of the crosshairs of like Deckard.
Yeah, that was weird. Because that whole thing was really strange, that they're all had such a grouping mentality when
it was like
every
family.
other android in the story doesn't have that at all.
Well,
That's
I
why
think they're
I was.
at the end. At least their grouping mentality, even like it was for selfish reasons. They calculated they have the best chance of survival as a group.
Yeah, I suppose that's true.
But it's still kind of empathy to some degree.
Yeah, I agree.
I feel like if you had to like program empathy into a robot, that's as close as you can get. And I think it's like if you can't get to the line, but you can like get as close to the line as possible, kind of like how psychopaths like emulate emotions. It's like I don't know, emulating like a familial bond maybe.
Yeah, but I think that's in spite of empathy, because psychopaths know what's empathetic and they're using it to manipulate you, whereas the androids can't do it, so they're mimicking other behaviors that they've seen other humans do.
Mm.
Can I rewind a second?
Okay.
I want to talk. I want to talk about the other police station, the fake police station where
Yeah.
Deckard got brought in.
Yeah.
Mission.
What? Yeah, what the heck is going on with that place? Is it
I know.
all androids? Is it mostly androids? How
Yeah.
the heck did that bounty hunter get a job there and not realize that he's just working in a building full of androids?
I feel like it couldn't be the whole building, but yeah, it is kind of strange. Like they had never heard of like
It's
the
run a
other
room out.
police station, or like neither police station had heard of the other one. Like that's strange, right?
Like clearly that police station is just off the grid. How did
Yeah.
a human bounty hunter get a job there and not
Yep.
realize something was going on?
Yeah.
I don't
That
know.
semi made sense because Garland explains. I think Garland knew about the other police, like the actual police station, where
He did,
his
yeah.
whole thing is just it's a front so that they can hide. I don't understand how the bounty hunter didn't know though. Like
Let's
he's
just
got to be
go
the
back.
worst bounty hunter ever. He's just
Let's just
walking
go back
around.
to everyone's an android. That answers
That's
all
what
the
made me
questions.
think that whole scene of them doing that made me think everyone was an android,
No, I
particularly when
agree.
they were gonna break out the tests for all three of them when they were in the office.
Yep.
And I was like, oh, okay, that's where I started really thinking that. And then nothing came of it. And I was like, oh, okay, well, maybe not. It feels like the whole book wants you to think that.
Yep.
Yeah,
For sure.
until 2 seconds later, he's like, "Oh, he's not an android, actually."
Yeah,
it's
and then
just
Garland
Deckard
spills
It's
saying
like,
that.
everything.
why even include that part? Just keep us in suspense or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like Deckard could just be like lying to like the reader, you know, with his declaration of innocence. Because it's him who like
Yeah.
says, "Oh, I'm definitely not an android. I can't be because
That's
so and
true.
so isn't."
It is written
He could
straight
have
from
just
his
like lie.
perspective.
He did say that that partner that he picked up there though was a human, which again, probably a flawed test, right? But
Also, I like that. What was the other bounty hunter's name? I keep
Phil.
forgetting his
I can't
name.
remember.
It's Phil.
Resh.
Phil.
Something Resh.
Phil Resch.
Yeah.
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 I like that
it.
Phil Resch was like, "Oh, Deckard, you're doing it wrong. You got to fuck them, then kill them." And then
them
Deckard's like,
before.
"Oh, that's a good idea," and then calls up Rachel. It's like,
That's
"Hey, you want to
ridiculous.
bone?" Just out of nowhere. Even like, I feel like besides that interaction with Phil where he said that, he has no reason to do that.
Yeah. That made no sense to me. He has a weird way of writing where he'll overly describe some people and then he has zero chemistry with the characters that you were like, okay, maybe something can happen, and then there's no chemistry and then something happens, or vice versa. Like Rachel, I thought she was going to show up and she was just going to be completely professional and he's going to try to do something and then realize, oh, she's an android, I can't do it. But then the whole scene plays out and I'm like, oh, this just happened. And then she's like, yeah, you manipulated me.
Actually, I manipulated you.
All right. Well, anything else anyone would like to say?
I have another thing
Go
I want to
ahead.
bring up. How does nobody figure out that Buster Friendly's an android? Even
Yeah.
Isidore's like, "Oh, he's live for 28 hours a day. How is that possible?" And it's like,
46.
or 46. It's like, how does no one think about anything in this story? No
Yeah.
one like gives a second thought about anything, and
Your
it makes it
fucking
so
brain cells are gone from using empathy boxes so long, man.
it
They
makes
can't
it
think.
so unbelievable.
Yeah,
Oh.
I understand it with Isidore, but not with the rest of
Yep.
the cast.
Like everyone should know, like clearly he's an android. It's not physically possible to have 46 hours of
What if there's clones though? Are they cool with clones?
They don't say
No.
any. That'd be fine if they mention clones a single time in the book, but they don't.
Maybe
Clones,
everybody is
Cody.
androids, and androids innately don't have the same sense of curiosity that humans do, so they don't question
There you
things
go.
as much.
Yeah, maybe all humans died and everybody's just an android, but they don't know it.
It's like their
That's what I've
software
been saying,
has
man.
like
It answers
naturally-
all the questions if everyone's just an
It
android.
does. It really
Yeah,
does.
Everybody gets to be a cock because they're
But
an
like
android.
different. There's six versions of the androids, right? Was it?
Well, at least
They
for
were
the
like
company.
they were like the Nexus 6, weren't they?
Next,
Or
there's
like
at least 6 models of
6
the
models
Nexus.
of that.
Yeah.
There could have been more other than that, though.
And that's just
Yeah,
the
they
Rosen
reference a
company.
couple different
Maybe
ones.
there's like other companies as well that have like.
I think
different
there is other
underground
companies.
androids.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of stuff in the book. It's like, did people like think for half a second and then they would have realized this?
I think my opinion on the book would be a lot better if I do just operate under the assumption that everyone was an android and that explains everything. So
I
It
think
does
Well,
give you a nice foundation to explain a lot of the stuff
It does.
going on.
He could have, said something or hinted at that or something.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think leaving it to the
yeah.
reader though is like the fun part of the book because
He's not even leaving it to the reader, though. He's just throwing a million things at the wall, and he's like, "Look at all these ideas to think about, but don't think too hard because it doesn't make any sense."
Yeah, I'm
And
going
it's
out
like,
too. The
"Oh,
book sucks ass.
how
Oh,
thought provoking! How thought provoking! Look at all these
You
ideas."
opened my mind. Yeah,
dude,
book sucks
we're
ass.
doing pretty well here with the reviews, and we're tanking as the
Yeah.
longer we.
No, this book
I-
pisses me
yeah.
off. I kind of liked it, but it pisses me off.
I hate these
Yeah.
books. Stop making me read these books. I hate these fucking books.
This one was
I
at
hate-
least entertaining and
I hate
good,
reading.
but-
I hate all this.
Good God.
Every time we do this, everybody hated my book. Oh, God forbid, there's a little cum joke.
Oh,
But,
everyone didn't hate your book.
I
Android,
like
baby, Android.
Oh.
Yeah, only
fucking
two of us
happy.
hated it. Only two
That
of
was
us
me and
hated
Cody that hated it.
it.
I got 2 1s. That's pretty rough though.
Yeah, and Cody's over here throwing threes like they're going out of style, man. For these fucking books made before I,
I
was even
like this
born.
one. I actually thought about it. Yours I put down, and I was like, all right, never thinking about that one.
Maybe if you thought about it a little bit,
the hell am I
Yeah,
gonna take out of
symbolism.
it?
There's
Think
corporate
about some
symbolism in
dick
my
and
book.
fart jokes.
Yeah. Oh, we can't fucking dissect the dick and fart joke meaning.
I wonder what
I don't
they
think
meant.
there's any symbolism there.
I wonder
to be
what they
fair.
meant when the dungeon
Yeah.
came when Carl stomped on the 12th bug.
Hey, at least you know what you're getting with my book. With this bullshit, you're like fucking goddamn metaphors everywhere.
I don't remember it being that lewd.
I mean, it's not that it
Wasn't
was
that
lewd.
bad
It just
lewd.
It's
wasn't
not
funny.
lewd necessarily. It's
It just
just
wasn't funny.
that type of humor is
Yeah.
pretty grating after a while. At least for me. I don't know.
This is Dungeon Crawler Carl for everyone confused what we're talking
Oh,
Yeah,
about.
go
oh,
watch it. We
shocker.
only have
Yeah, go
39 views on that. We need some.
Yeah, go
We
bump
fell
up the
off.
views, or I'm gonna have to pay for YouTube impressions and get the fucking view counter to go up. And that is not cheap.
Yeah, Dungeon Crawler Carl. I don't feel like there's any real metaphor or anything.
But you
It's
got
all...
what was going on. But you got what was going on.
Yeah,
though.
but and then this one
Okay.
is like the far extreme. I need something in the middle. Like he can have some thought provoking, metaphor stuff, but yeah, it's gotta make some sense too. Give me
Like-
something in the middle.
Well,
Mm.
anything else?
I think the last.
Sean, you got the.
really-
Go
There
ahead.
is one quote that I really liked in this book that threw me right off and made me laugh out loud. When he's
Okay.
describing Brant's receptionist and secretary, he goes, he passed by Brant's receptionist, attractive with waist-length braided silver hair, and then the inspector's secretary, an ancient monster from the Jurassic swamp, frozen and sly, like some archaic apparition fixated on the tomb world. I was like, that is insane. Like, I want to know who this person represents in his real life that he
Can you
detests.
imagine?
I
I wonder if they recognize themselves in the book if they ever read it. Hey, that's me. I think the last thing we have to answer though is, the titulary question of do the androids in fact dream of electric sheep?
What a terrible name for this book.
No, see, I think it kind of makes sense, but it does open up another question. So I think that the dream obviously is not a sleeping dream, but like a goal dream, right? So
Okay, okay.
is their goal to I assume own an electric sheep, right?
The answer is no because the androids don't have empathy. They said that in the book.
And even though they have no empathy, like I still feel like the electric ones take at least some sort of empathy because you're still taking care of them. It's like it's not like you just leave it up there and it's like, all right, don't have to do anything with that one.
I should just
It's like,
rename the title of the book to no because that answers the question.
Well, hang on. Doesn't Deckard have like a hyperfixation with animals or like electric animals?
Not electric animals.
Not
He just
electric
can't afford
animals,
real
right.
ones.
Fair.
Everyone has a fixation on animals. It's like a status symbol that you're so empathetic you could take care of another animal.
yep. Got to make yourself look good for your neighbor, right?
Yeah.
So then what
Yeah,
do
do
androids
androids dream electric? Also, Blade Runner, even worse name.
Blade
Yeah.
completely made up the jargon for that movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, they weren't called Blade Runners. That's like the name. That's like the nickname of like what Deckard does.
I'm interested to watch the movie because,
Movie's good.
well, it's like a cult classic. But it's
Tune
just
in
weird
next week
'cause-
for our
yeah.
commentary on the movie.
Yeah, media
Bonus
review.
episode. Bonus episode on the Patreon.
Multimedia Club starting now.
Wait, androids don't care about the animals at all, right?
No.
Correct.
They just care about like living. Isn't that more human than the humans who just care
Well,
about the animals?
Well,
That's what I was
animals
gonna
also don't
say.
care about that.
Is I think you asked what they dream of then if it's not the electric sheep. I think it's just
being
integrating
alive.
into society.
That's a more
just
human thing, I think.
doing whatever. Well, you think so, but they defined humanity as having empathy for others in this book. And,
Yeah, I was gonna say, you would think so, but he flat out came out and said that's not what it is.
yeah, it's
in this book,
empathy,
so.
and that's why you can test for empathy, and that's it. And that's how you can determine if they're
But
androids
it's the
or not.
humans, quote unquote humans, who are making that declaration. You don't have to technically agree with them, maybe.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, the one just singing in the opera, it's like, all right,
She just wanted to sing, live a life, you know?
just let
She
her.
got fucking
let her
spooked.
Literally, yeah. She just wanted to have a life.
And then you have fucking Deckard here on a killing spree, kind of, and thinking about the next Pokemon he's gonna catch.
Yeah.
Technically, he didn't kill that one.
Not that one, but the other ones.
God, all right, I got another thing to say. Sorry, we're bringing it back. The action scenes were so dog shit. At the end, when he confronted the baddies, like I forget their names.
The baddies.
Roy
That's
and
their
Roy.
last name.
Chris,
Prissy,
what
Priss.
are you talking about?
Not
Like
Pris.
Chris?
Pris had a different. She wasn't a baddie.
Ermgard?
Oh yeah, she was
Irmgar,
Roy?
bad.
Irmgar, and
Oh, yeah,
her
those.
husband. What's his name?
Roy.
Roy.
Roy. Yeah, the way that action scene was choreographed was so bad. He like knocks on the door and he's like, "Yeah, I'm Isidore," and they open the door, and then they see that it's Rick, and he's like, "Oh, hey, it's me, Rick," and they're like, "Oh, you can't shoot us," and then the guy shoots at him with the laser and misses, then hands the laser to the other girl android who's at the door, and then runs away further into the room, and then Rick has a monologue and then shoots her, and then he's like turns around, and then the other guy android turns around and is like, "Oh, you shot her after I just handed her this laser and ran deeper into this room."
The worst part about that scene is that he explains it while what's happening. So he's like, Roy runs into the room and he's like, oh, he ran to the room so that she would be behind me and she would shoot me. And then he shoots her. And it's like, okay, well, you could just show me that. You don't have to, you have to explain it before it happens like a comic book villain.
I laughed
It
my
was
ass off.
choreographed so bad. The action was so bad. It was so bad. I understand that's not the main idea of the book, what he's trying to put forward, but god damn, if you're gonna do it, at least put some effort into
It,
it.
it felt like a dark comedy to me at sometimes. Like the whole, yeah, like impersonating Isidore at the door. Like that's the kind of shit you think would never work, and then it does. It's like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Well, it's because he's an android and he has a voice modulator that he can sound exactly like him.
There you go. See?
He got the stutters bang on.
What was I gonna say? and then Rick turned himself into a pickle. Funniest shit I've ever
Oh my
seen.
Cody, how can you
God.
enjoy
Pickle
books
Rick!
when all this is shit? Like you're like, oh, I love reading. How? I'm miserable.
I
Every
didn't say
time
I love that
I'm-
book. I like the book.
No, but you enjoy reading. I have not, in the slightest, enjoyed
Yeah.
any reading that we've done at all. Even on books where I'm fine at. Even my
What about
book, I'm
Dungeon
like,
Crawler
meh,
Carl? You didn't enjoy that?
I didn't even get through the newest one because I'm like, no, reading
Really?
kind of
I
sucks.
thought
Even
that was your
listen to it.
favorite book.
It is, but I also I don't like it. I don't like it anymore. I don't know. I just hate all this.
You're welcome.
Oh, so how did
Thanks.
everyone read this book? Listen and or read it?
I listen to it like I always do.
I
PDF.
listened as well.
Or sorry, physical copy. I actually had a physical copy.
I listened to it on Spotify this time, actually,
Oh.
which was the same version as Autumn.
Okay.
That was okay.
I didn't like him that much. I ended up reading the vast majority of it.
Yeah, you sound like a little doucher.
He tried to. It's just he sounds like he'd be a good voice actor, but he kind of sounded like he tried a little too hard.
He sounded like he couldn't lift like 40 pounds over his head.
I thought he was alright. I thought it was the.
I read it.
Eh.
I started reading it I think a week ago, and I realized there was no way in hell I was gonna finish it, as I usually do with books that aren't short stories. So then I transitioned to an audiobook after a couple chapters, and the one I
He wasn't
listened
as
to
bad.
was it was like a YouTuber did it, and it was really fucking good. Like, you know how Dungeon Crawler Colorado had like the different
Yeah.
VA impressions per character.
Yeah.
It had that as well.
Damn.
So
Arjun,
it was
why don't you
really
give me
good.
that one? That
I'll,
might
I'll,
help
I'll
me.
plug it. I'll plug it into the.
I can't pay attention when a fucking man is talking like he's reading a history book. That's how the guy was talking.
Dude, it was not
sometimes.
that bad.
It wasn't that bad, but it still wasn't good.
I thought it was good.
No, if you're gonna read
finally.
no, I need some spooky voices. I need like a scary, I need like some or something like that.
You're looking
He
for
wasn't
that
as bad as the
Lonesome
fucking
Dove
YouTube.
YouTube dub.
The Lonesome Dove guy. That's a fucking. No,
Yeah, he was good. He was
He
good.
was great.
YouTube
but
version?
he.
No,
it was
not the
Audible,
YouTube version.
Not the YouTube version. Yeah, it wasn't as bad as that. That guy was. Ooh. I think the Journey to the Center of the Earth guy YouTube version or Spotify version was ass too. The one that Sterling read.
I love
he's
the
like-
Spotify one.
The one I read was done by fucking Nigel Thornsberry, and that's all I could think the whole time. But anyway, reading sucks.
Well, with that, Shawn, you ready to call out what our next book is, or you wanna discuss a little more?
So we have a tie with 2 books.
I think that just means we got to read both, then, right?
Oh my fucking god! Imagine.
Wow.
Imagine.
A double feature.
Harley would fucking kill us.
Yeah, Harley's so
I'll
excited.
do it. Hey,
Would you?
I slog through the slot, man. You can't say I don't go through the slot. I go through the fucking trenches with this shit, man. I'm miserable, but I do it. You want to do a double feature? Let's fucking
double
go.
feature?
Let's fucking go.
Dude.
It's too much.
So if
I don't.
out of the 2, one is more fantasy, from what I can tell, and one is basically like this. So
Yep.
I say it was between Neuromancer and Iron Widow. So I'm going to say Iron Widow for the next one by
Oh, fuck. Okay.
Shirin J. Zhao.
Cody's gonna love this book.
Let's go. The one
Let's
I
do it.
wanted.
Why did I vote for this one?
I'm probably
Yeah, for those playing along at home, I'm not super excited, but I
Okay,
could be
I'm-
wrong. I could be wrong.
I'm probably gonna add
I'm
Neuromancer
as-
to my poll though. Anyway, for the next rotation.
Oh, this is the lady with a cow in her fucking Goodreads photo. Okay. Yeah,
That's why
fuck
you
it.
voted for her.
I couldn't be any more indifferent. Whatever. I voted for that one.
You voted for it. Yeah. You made this happen.
I
I'm
honestly
blaming-
would have voted for Neuromancer if I looked at it and I didn't.
Oh
like it.
my god!
Imagine.
Oh my god!
I think I saw fantasy immediately and I'm like, eh.
Now, to be fair, someone that's not going to read the book did vote for Neuromancer.
no,
that forced the tie. So
I didn't vote for it because it said it was like a cyberpunk kind of thing, and I was like, I already did Blade Runner. I don't want to vote for it.
That's
So
true.
why I
That's
didn't vote.
true.
But Neuromancer was the first, I was telling Noah earlier, I think they see that one as the father.
Is it? Did it come out before?
Whereas,
I don't give a fuck, man.
no, it's
I don't
after.
give a shit about
It's
all
80s.
this.
And
oh,
Androids is like the grandfather. It
Yeah.
laid the groundwork for cyberpunk, but Neuromancer was like the cyberpunk book.
Yeah, and I think Neuromancer is like the more 90s-esque semi-modern version, right?
Yeah, it was written in the 80s, I think 86
Yeah,
or
that makes
something like that.
sense.
Maybe it has some ideas that it proposes and then doesn't flat out.
I don't think
of
so.
the,
I think it's more action
yeah.
oriented or like more
84,
intense.
by the way.
I just saw a review
Oh,
on
okay.
Goodreads for Neuromancer, and the first sentence is, "Wow, what a terrible book."
Well, look at the other one too. So, all right. Well, we got anything else to say here? Or are we wrapping this bad
I'm
boy
pumped.
I think we're wrapping.
up? All right. Well, thank you everyone for listening to Buster Friendly's, or sorry, Buster Friendly and his friendly friends.
Yeah.
I've been
I
your
don't-
host, Buster.
I don't even remember them saying that in the book. That's how
It's-
fucking disinterested I was half the time.
And join us next week for another fun book. Maybe not next week, but you get the idea.
Nah,
Maybe
next week.
months.
It'll definitely be next
You
week.
might-
next week.
yeah.
How long
Yeah,
is
how
this
long is
one?
this?
How long?
I don't
Yeah,
know,
how long?
actually.
It's like
Yeah,
400
Iron
pages.
Widow. How long is it?
400 pages.
That's too long.
394. A little bit longer than this one.
You need to start getting down to like a paragraph for the book, like one whole paragraph. That's fine.
We're gonna start doing haikus next week.
Yeah, let's do poems or something. I'm like, okay.
It's about 100 pages more than Blade Runner.
Great.
Looks
I
interesting.
can-
I'm excited. All right. Well,
Woo.
Signing
you.
off.